All right. So it's about that time. Just hit 12 o'clock. So we'll get the party started. So welcome everybody to this Zoom webinar. Thanks for getting up to date with all the tech. And we're practicing social distancing here today.
Yep.
So all good. So welcome to the YourLand Development Lunchtime Bites webinar series. So over the next coming weeks, we're going to be touching on a few topics, some key topics about the property buying process, all while you're enjoying your lunch. So we're going to keep them short and sweet because we understand you're busy. So it's more of a little snapshot about what's going on, I guess, in this property buying process. So if you want some more detailed information, it's important you do get in touch with us. Our details will be on the slide at the end, and we are going to have questions open at the end. If there are any personal questions or something that is targeted more towards your specific circumstance, make sure that you email us and we can help you with those questions there specifically. So my name's Pat, and this is Catherine.
Hi guys.
I'm looking after the River Valley site in Sunshine North and the 7th Bend in Melton South.
And I look after Officer Fields, which is in the southeast, and I also currently look after the Grange, which is in Werribee in the west. So we'll kick off with some of the topics we'll cover today. So this includes what is Greenfield land development, the process of developing that land, what buying off the plan means, and what are the advantages of buying off the plan, tips for buying off the plan, and then we'll also address any questions that you guys may have towards the end.
Awesome. Okay, so the first little bit in this slide, as you can see there, it says, what is Greenfield land development? So in essence, Greenfield development is development of former farmland or agricultural land and purposed for residential. So in a Greenfield development, it usually takes place on the outskirts of, I guess, the metro areas and then known as growth areas. So if you hear that term being used as a growth area and the growth corridor, that's what it's referring to. And now these growth areas, they require a little bit of infrastructure to support new communities being built. So it's quite a detailed process with the developing of the land.
So next we've got the land development process. This is an overview of the process. So we have grouped this into 4 different phases to make it a little bit more clearer for you guys. So phase 1, it does include identifying form of farm and agricultural land that will be suitable for residential development. So once this is identified, the government works with various stakeholders to initially rezone the land for its residential purposes. This does include the planning of the present structure plan, which can be referred to as well as the PSP. So once these plans are established, the need for various land uses are established. So this can include schools, shops, community centres and the like. Next we've got, the plans can also include housing densities and other considerations that are factored in. And then from here, the developers and landowners establish what is permitted on the properties as well. So this can include parks, open spaces, reserves, and that type of thing. The rezoning of the land, it can take a couple of years as well. So, and the approvals and permits, look, these can actually take essentially up to 2 years. But once this is issued and we've got the green light, sales can then commence.
Awesome. So next slide is what is buying off the plan. You've probably heard that term being used, or probably know someone who's bought off the plan. So buying off the plan is buying something that hasn't been built yet, whether you're talking about apartments or land. In our case, we're talking about land developments. So this means that you're buying a lot that hasn't been developed yet, or a lot which is under construction and yet to be complete.
So some advantages of buying off the plan. Number 1 is time. So once you've placed your initial deposit on your chosen block, on that amazing perfect block that you found, you do have, sometimes you can have up to 18 months. So once that initial deposit is placed down, you don't have to pay anything sometimes for up to 18 months. So it just means you've got time to save come settlement time, and then time to plan and even save more for that house that you've wanted to build. You do also have a greater choice. So this can include different lot types. So if you're wanting to downsize to have a smaller block, or if you're wanting to upgrade to something bigger, you can find that bigger desired block. You can also have the location that you want and actually pick the home design that you want. So next, number 3, we've got savings and grants. So you may be eligible for additional savings and grants. It always is best to check with your broker and conveyancer on this, but building new, buying new, you are actually able to be accessible to those additional savings and grants. And customization. So we touched a bit on this just earlier, but customization. So you can always build that home you've always wanted. You don't, with the established market, you're buying a house that's already there, someone's already picked the colours, the finishes, everything like that. But with when you're buying and building new, the house is exactly what you want. So yeah.
Awesome. So on that topic, I guess when Catherine was mentioning that you're buying something new, the benefit of buying something new is that it's new. So there's going to be less maintenance. You're not, buying an established property that might already have some issues going on there. So you're going to save on your maintenance costs, as well as keeping in mind there's a 7 years builder's warranty with all the new builds there. Another point is affordability. So it's more affordable because you're buying into I guess a community that's on the rise. So it's not an established community, so you're going to find a bit more value there because it's not a existing hub with amenities, but there's potential because you're building in there, so all the amenities are coming, and you're, I guess, in essence, looking to invest in an area that is on the rise there. So there's a price point difference there. And another point is locking in a purchase price, which is something really good. If you're planning, if you're trying to forecast where you're going to be in the future, you know what's coming along because you've got that locked in price prior to your construction, which is great. So then when settlement comes, you know pretty much what your price is going to be. And then that last little tile there says potential for capital growth. So as you're buying something prior to completion, there's always the potential for the value of the property to increase between purchase and settlement.
Okay, next we've got tips for buying off the plan. So government grants. So just as previously mentioned, it is best to double check with your broker or conveyancer on what you could be eligible for. Some people actually don't know what they're eligible for. So it is great to check in with your broker or conveyancer on this. Land or home first. Some people choose the location first because they've just fallen in love with the suburb. So essentially they want to be near friends and family or near a certain school or a shopping centre. So they've chosen the location first. Or some people might choose the home design first. They've just fallen in love with the home design. They have to have that. That dream home. So then they proceed with finding the perfect block of land in that desired location. So researching the area, it is important to look what's already established in that area, what's around, so all the amenities, so public transport, shops, schools, and then obviously potentially what's to come as well in the future. So it's good to do some background research about the area that you're looking into buying. Next, we've got researching the developer. So how long has the developer been in the industry for? What are previous purchasers saying regarding that developer? Maybe have a look and do some research about other projects that they've done in the state, and then you can go from there and making your decision as well on if they're the right one for you.
These next 2 points, these 2 tips, are quite obvious ones, but sometimes get overlooked, and I think they're really important. So the first one, it says speak to a broker or the bank. So knowing your capacity and what you can afford is crucial to, I guess, a decision to buying off the plan. You really want to know what your capacity is and make the best informed decision. So the best thing you can do is get that information from a specialist, whether it be the broker or the bank, and really know where you're positioned, before you commit to your purchase. So it sounds quite obvious, but it's something that's really crucial. So that's a really important tip. The second one says engage with a conveyancer or your solicitor. So this is really I guess, important and also overlooked. It's good to send your contract over to your conveyancer, your solicitor, let them have a look and make sure you know what you're signing and what you're committing to. I guess these 2 points really give you the most information and the most, I guess, up-to-date status of where you're at with the project. So your conveyancer will have a look at the contract, your broker or your bank will look at your finances, and then it'll put you in a position where you can make a decision. So doing this will assure that, I guess, the responsibilities of the developer under the contract of sale and the responsibilities that you have in the contract of sale. So I guess that was our little snapshot today with buying off the plan, short and sweet, the best way. I hope you've enjoyed your lunch. We've got a little bit of a time for questions. The best way, I guess, to shoot them across would be in the little chat function at the bottom of your screen there. And we're going to take a few questions now.
We might just quickly, we have had some questions submitted previously. So Pat and I might just address those ones first, and then we'll proceed with additional questions if we've got time. So the first one, we've got Tanya who submitted in, my friend bought land a while ago and the developer kept delaying the title. Why are there so many delays? Now, there can be a number of factors that affect titles. The main one is probably weather. So the contractors that the developers employ to construct the land, they generally provide a schedule which can take 9 to 12 months to develop the land. However, if there is additional, if there's delays with weather, obviously that's going to push out title delays. So as a developer, they do the absolute best to deliver titles on time, but there is unfortunately some factors that we can't foresee happening, so this could delay titles further. We do, though, every month we try and keep our purchases updated throughout the construction process, so you are informed, with such delays, and then so you're prepared come settlement time.
All right, so we've got up there a question submitted by Jenny. The question is, when you say developers can include what's important to them, shouldn't they be including what is important for the people that will live there? So I guess different developers will have different ideas about communities they want to create. Ultimately, developers are working hand in hand with council to include the infrastructure that the council needs on those developments in that particular area. So these are based on the number of residents that will be in the development over time. So I think that's the last one that we've got over there. Yeah, it is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we might wrap that up, guys. So we really appreciate you jumping online today and joining us in this session. We hope it's been informative for you. Please do let us know if you've got any additional questions that you could give us a call or email us those questions, or even touch base, through Skype, through live chat, and we'd be happy to address those. Next week, we've got steps to buying and building, and then we've got what is a mortgage broker and questions to ask on the 13th of May, and then on the 20th of May we've got the first home buyer grant. So yeah, we really hope you've enjoyed this session today, guys. There's our contact details there on the screen, and we hope you have a lovely rest of the week, and we hope to hear from you soon.